invite David to join the stage.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me all right? Good check. First and foremost, thank you for choosing this session, maybe because it's closest to the bar, which is where I will be in about 20 minutes. I appreciate this is the end of a very long day for many people. I won't keep you much longer. We will be out in Manchester tonight. There's a few Auto Trader people in the crowd. Just by a quick show of hands, how many people have bought a car, own a car, or have been with parents, siblings, family to go and buy a car? That's another good sign as well, because otherwise the next 18 minutes will be really painful. Because we Brits, we tend to have a very special love affair with our cars. We love our cars more than many other nations around the world. America is probably a close second, but we are willing to risk public shame and social humiliation by parking in the way we do to avoid that car park door dink on our precious, cherished chariots. And again, it's not like any other country, especially in Europe, where they don't have much care or consideration for the way they drive or park their cars. But in the UK, cars are the things that kind of are an extension of our character. They make us look good. They're our ego. They make us feel cool. They help tell people where we're heading in life. They help us stand out, even if our means aren't the same as those around us. And who didn't dream a box into being a car when they were a kid? And there's also another movement when people own cars. We're more than willing and happy to share a photograph on social media with us stood next to our purchase. Hashtag New Car Day is a thing on more or less every single social channel you can go on. And we don't just share the pictures of our cars, we give them names. I drove here today in the Mule, which is the name that I have for my car. But again, Suzanne shared on Instagram her new Volvo XC40, but also asked for a name for her new ride. Whereas Sun Lee already had a name, so she introduces Major Mori Hashiko of the Rebel Alliance, a car that is known for stealth, cunning, and overall badassery. We don't tend to have that love affair for any other product in our life. You don't have hashtag New Fridge Day, for example, but it's not an internet phenomenon. It's been there since day dot. The four photographs behind me, 1914, 1952, 1976 and 1991. We have a love affair for our cars that have lasted since the car began. So why is it then that buying a car is considered one of the most painful and onerous things that we will go through in purchasing our goods? More painful, they say, than root canal, and more onerous than a self-assessment tax return. At Auto Trader, we've been going now for around 50 years, just short of 50 years, bringing together car buyer and car seller in perfect harmony as Britain's biggest matchmaker. And we don't just embrace change, we drive it. And we've been driving change since we first formed back in 1977, bringing over here an idea from the US of having an automotive-only classified magazine. And this is all about change, and change is all Auto Trader's ever been about. But there are rules to change. If change happened more than 25 years ago and is still in place today, it's considered tradition. It's considered the way things have always been, and it's considered the status quo. If change happened in the last 15 years and didn't turn out to be a fad like Pokemon Go or Ryland, then it's considered innovation, it's considered exciting, and it's considered shiny. And the change that's going to happen in the next 10 years, be that tonight, tomorrow, next week, next year and beyond, is scary. It creates anxiety, and it's here to confuse us, to kill us, to take our jobs, or all three. So change has to be managed very carefully when speaking to audiences, whether they're car buyers or car sellers. 25 years ago, and I have the exact copy, Auto Trader was still very much a magazine. And the power of car buying and selling was very much in the hands of the car seller. Because there was very little information, we didn't have the internet as such back then, and the car buyer held all the cards. An advert was simply a picture, a title, and a few key words about some features of the car, like alpine speakers or a dump valve. And buying a car back then, even though the process is very much the same today, was very hard. It generally started that Boris the Belmont was looking a bit tired, so mum and dad would decide they wanted a new car, would buy a copy of the Auto Trader and start to circle adverts. The iPhone and iPad wasn't invented back then, so kids basically just sat doing nothing for most of the time. There was nothing else to do. They were waiting for the invention to happen. After a few days of circling adverts, The kids will be loaded into the car with the dog and enough supplies to last probably a weekend, as mum and dad drove around 8 or 9 dealerships at the time to look at the cars they'd circled. When they got there, mum and dad would be wowed at the features that they couldn't fit into the small adverts in the magazine, and children will be enthralled with the magic and theatre of used car and new car sales. Until about the 6th one, when they were doing your head in, so you left them in the car because they were getting underneath your feet. But once you found the car that you actually wanted to buy, you would then start to do the deal, the dance of the deal, as it were. Many calculator buttons were pressed as they worked out the price of your part exchange and the finance for your new motor. Once, after a lot of to and fro, that deal was agreed, a copy would be faxed to head office to be signed and sent back along with a finance agreement, and then they would take a deposit for the car by taking an imprint of your debit or credit card on a click-clack zig-zag machine, as what they were called back then. And then, and only then, you'll be sent on your way. Car buyers then really did have the patience of a saint. But the process is very much exactly the same today. And whilst yesterday's car buyer had the patience of a saint, today's car buyer gets annoyed at this. They don't want to visit multiple showrooms. 25 years ago, the average number of showrooms a car buyer would visit was 8 or 9. Today, it's just 1.2. They want to do all their research from home, from the comfort of their sofas. They don't want to buy planet-polluting petrol cars. That was easy for me to say. It took me ages to say that. Planet-polluting petrol cars anymore. And actually, last year, 2024, was what Auto Trader considered to be peak petrol. There will never be any more petrol cars on our road than there were last year. EV is here, and EV is here to stay. But consumers don't just want EV. They want cars that integrate seamlessly with their technology and their mobile phones. They don't want to spend 4 hours in a dealership doing the deal. They want to do as much as they can from the comfort of their home so they can just turn up, pick up the keys and drive away. And I'm not sure kids even dream a box into a car anymore because they already have freedom in a smaller box in the palm of their hands these days. And whilst 25 years ago the freedom was the open road these days it's a bit more bumpy and a bit more busy. And the power has shifted from the car seller to the car buyer. And it's given them a lot more power, and it's given retailers a lot more to think about in terms of how they stay relevant as a brand in today's market. Use that one. So we're no longer digital first. It used to be that consumers were digital first, where they go to a mobile device and then go to a showroom. Now we're digital by default. We start our car purchase journeys online all the time. We're not digital only. So if anybody saw Kazoo or Kazam in the news over the past couple of years, not everybody wants to buy a car completely online. But we are digital by default. And Auto Trader has been digital by default since 2013, when we pulled the plug on our print machine for the final time, with the final edition just having a circulation of around £27,000. If you have a copy, I don't, it's worth quite a bit. Since then, we've been monitoring, analysing and capturing customer data on our website and sharing it with our customers as often and frequently as we can. We enable customers to explore, employ and exploit our data to their benefits and to the benefits of consumers. The adverts, as they were back then versus what they are now, look completely different. You can still kind of circle an ad by pressing the love heart in the corner, but they are very different, as is our audience. This magazine, January 2000, 25 years ago, had peak circulation for Auto Trader with around 368,000 copies each and every week. In January 2025, we had 87.2 million visits to our website, made up of around 10.1, 10.2 million unique visitors. From what we saw in terms of vehicles, on average over a month, there is around 1 million vehicles, 250,000 vehicles a week that we saw in our systems. Today, we see just over 1 million vehicles a day. So we have a lot of data points that we can talk about to retailers and car buyers about the cars. Could we really tell you who was reading our magazines and for how long? We did a lot of on-street polls, but we all know what consumers say and what consumers do are two different things. Today we know that in 2024, the average car buyers as collective spent 595 million minutes on our platform each and every month. Works out to be around 1,132 years per month. And we account for 75%, 3/4 of all car buying online activity in the UK, just on our marketplace. And from a data point of view, we did have a website in 2000. We were collecting data, very minimal data. You could fit a whole month's worth of data onto a free USB stick from any one of the stalls here today. In January, we processed 18.6 million gigabytes of data. So again, a lot of information that we share with our retailers. If we did some consumer surveys 25 years ago, dentists would be our captive audience because that's where most of these magazines ended up. Today, we have hundreds and thousands of data points about car buyers, about the car, and about the car buying journey. And we share all this data, but we centralize on three key metrics. We share with our retailers retail rating, which measures the vehicle, and it tells them which product is the right product to put on their forecourt. We have price position, which tells them how to price that vehicle to meet the expectations of the consumer and the needs of their business for both profit and for speed of sale. And we have performance rating, which measures the performance of the advert, which makes sure it's in the best place and promoted in the right way so that the cars are selling as fastly as possible. And all these three are interdependent, and the mixture of the three will determine how many days it takes to sell a car on our marketplace. In terms of the car buying journey, and again, I probably won't be able to hear people because you all got headphones on, but how many days do you think it takes the average Auto Trader car buyer to buy a car from start to finish? Number of days, anybody? 2 weeks? 5 days? 5 days? It's 10 days, superb. The average is 87 days, or 12 weeks, roughly 3 months, and that's the average, where we see a consumer turn up to Auto Trader and where we see the car being purchased from one of the retailers. Which leads to a lot of other questions. Again, I'm using the lady on the screen there. And we do come up against a lot of resistance when we share this information with retailers because they don't believe the information that we're sharing with them. But then Uber doesn't own any taxis, yet they can tell us where to go with our taxi for the busiest place and how much to charge for a ride. Airbnb don't own any real estate, yet they can tell us where to buy it and how much to list it for. And Amazon don't own any inventory, but they can tell us where to hold it, how much to price it for, and how many we sell each and every week. So why not the same for Auto Trader? One of the big paradigm shifts for us working with our advertising partners was working to their goals. And it's about 7 or 8 years ago, we removed all commissions and bonuses from our salespeople and put the customer at the heart of everything we do. And it kind of led to a paradigm shift in the way we talk to our retailers. So by understanding where they are today and where they want to get to, we can start to promote our products and our services in the right way at the right time. We also provided a number of key calculations for each and every space that they have on their forecourt. We can tell them how many days they need to sell a car in order to hit their goals. We can tell them how much a space costs, whether it's empty or full, each and every day on their forecourt. And when they do buy a car, we can tell them how many days they have to sell it before they start to lose money. And again, it centres on those three key metrics I shared earlier. And we surface this data through live systems that the dealer can get into each and every day, and through reports that our sales teams, our account managers, our account directors can share with them, using 4 methodologies of helping to identify risk and opportunity, helping to investigate that with robust data, helping to invest in paid-for product or best practice, and helping to improve their performance and their return on investment with us. Second thing we do is we put technology at our core. We are a technology business, even though we started out at a magazine. And we put it in the hands of our customers. So the advert, as it looked back then, versus the advert that it looks now, is completely different. Consumers can get all the information they need about the car. 100 photos, videos, features and specs, running costs, provenance checks, reviews and insurance information. They can get all the information they need about a retailer, giving them proof of life with the retailer that they're about to spend money with. They can call, chat, text, email from the advert. They can read and leave reviews. They can get information to visit them online or visit them in person. But more importantly, in the last few years, they can do the deal on the advert as well. They can value their part exchange. They can arrange finance. They can confirm collection and delivery. And they can also secure and put a deposit on that vehicle as well. Which means that we're meeting the expectations of an ever-changing and increasingly complex car buyer, but we're also leaving car retailers to do what they're good at, which is selling cars, even when they're asleep. This year we've also launched Co-Driver, which is Auto Trader intelligence. It's actually artificial intelligence, but it actually helps retailers image, describe and put the key selling points for their vehicles for each and every advert, again, driving efficiencies that leave them to go and sell cars. The final thing we do is we earn a seat at every table. We make sure that we have a place in the minds of our retailers, our advertising partners, each and every way. And we do this for free, above and beyond what they pay for the advert. We have monthly market insight and give them access to market data. We have bi-weekly industry webinars for manufacturers and retailers to understand and discuss the challenges they face. We have an online learning academy for individuals and businesses to gen up on best practice and to keep ahead of the market. We have performance clinics which help retailers workshop their goals, their strategies and their performance on our platform and on their physical forecourt as well. And we have dedicated account management. On top of that, we have retailer awards and highly rated awards. But ultimately, we believe that together we will do more. So what are the key things? First one is drive change. Don't try and preserve the past. If we tried to preserve the past, we'd still be a magazine today. We take advantage of tomorrow and we drive change. Put the data into the hands of your customers, let them explore and employ it and exploit that data. Enable technology, and again, enable it for the consumer and for the advertiser. And set goals with your customers. You can achieve your goals by helping your customers to achieve theirs. But last and not by no means least, earn that seat. Have a voice, show up when things are tough, and just be there. And that way you can go beyond the ad. And that, I think, is me. Thank you.